You don't see it at first. That's the thing about real power. It doesn't announce itself. It's quiet. It's controlled. It's watching. And then one day, someone tries you. They push. They provoke. They expect the same reaction they get from everyone else: anger, panic, emotion, noise. But this time, they get something different. And that difference? That's what makes them step back. That's what makes them realize they chose the wrong person. Because nobody messes with someone who responds like this. Listen carefully, because this is not about being loud, aggressive, or intimidating. Anyone can raise their voice. Anyone can act tough. But very few people can master this. The kind of response that makes people uncomfortable. The kind that makes them rethink their next move. The kind that shifts the entire energy of the situation without saying much at all. It starts with control. Most people lose before the situation even begins. Why? Because they react too fast. Someone says something disrespectful, and boom, emotion takes over. Words fly. Anger spills. Control is gone. But the person nobody messes with? They don't rush. They pause. That pause alone is powerful. It confuses people. It disrupts expectations. Because when someone throws something at you, they are waiting for a reaction. And when it doesn't come immediately, they feel it. That silence becomes pressure. And in that moment, you're not being passive. You're not weak. You're choosing your response. That's the difference. You don't let people control your emotions. You don't hand over your power just because someone tried to provoke you. You stay still. You stay calm. You stay in control. And that alone makes people think twice about crossing you again. Now here's where it gets deeper. It's not just about staying silent. It's about how you speak when you finally do. Because when you do respond, it's measured. It's clear. It's direct. No shouting. No unnecessary words. No emotional chaos. Just truth. And truth, delivered calmly, hits harder than any insult. Imagine someone trying to disrespect you, expecting a heated argument. And instead, you look at them, calm, steady, and you say exactly what needs to be said. Nothing more. Nothing less. That kind of response doesn't just shut people down. It exposes them. It shows them that their tactics don't work on you. And once people realize they can't control you, can't provoke you, can't shake you, they stop trying. Because people don't mess with those they can't manipulate. But this level of control doesn't come by accident. It's built. Every time you choose not to react instantly, you're building it. Every time you walk away from unnecessary drama, you're strengthening it. Every time you stay calm in a situation designed to break you, you're becoming it. And yes, it's hard. Because your instincts will fight you. Your emotions will push you to respond, to defend, to prove something. But understand this. Not every situation deserves your energy. Not every person deserves your reaction. And when you realize that, everything changes. Because now, you're not reacting out of emotion. You're responding out of intention. And that's where real power lies. Let me tell you something most people won't say. The strongest person in the room is usually the quietest. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they don't need to prove anything. They don't chase validation. They don't engage in pointless arguments. They don't waste time explaining themselves to people committed to misunderstanding them. They observe. They decide. And when they act, it's precise. That's why nobody messes with them. Because unpredictability mixed with control is intimidating. People can't read you easily. They don't know what will trigger you, because almost nothing does. And that creates a boundary without you even saying a word. But let's make this practical. Next time someone tries to provoke you, don't rush. Breathe. Let the moment sit. Look at them, not with anger, but with awareness. Ask yourself, does this deserve my energy? And if it doesn't, you already won. Sometimes the strongest response is no response. Sometimes walking away is the loudest statement you can make. And sometimes a calm, simple reply is enough to end everything. Because you're not trying to win an argument. You're maintaining your peace. And peace is something people can't take from you unless you give it to them. Now I want you to understand something important. This doesn't mean you let people walk over you. This doesn't mean you stay silent when something truly matters. It means you choose how you respond. It means when you speak, it's because you decided to, not because someone forced you to. That's power. That's respect. That's control. And people feel it. Even if they don't say it out loud. They feel it in the way you carry yourself. In the way you respond. In the way you don't react like everyone else. And slowly, they adjust. Because they know, you're not the one. You're not the easy target. You're not the person they can provoke for entertainment. You're the person they think twice about. The one they approach carefully. The one they respect, even if they don't understand why. And all of it comes down to how you respond. So from today, stop reacting instantly. Stop giving people access to your emotions. Stop trying to prove yourself in every situation. Instead, slow down. Think. Choose. Respond. Because the moment you master that, everything changes. Your confidence rises. Your presence becomes stronger. Your words carry more weight. And your silence becomes louder than noise. And when you reach that point, trust me, nobody messes with you. If this message is hitting you right now, don't just keep it to yourself. Share your thoughts in the comments. What's one situation where you wish you had responded with calm instead of emotion? Let's talk about it. And if you want more content like this that helps you stay in control, build quiet strength, and move differently in this world, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Stay present. Stay calm. Stay in control. Because the way you respond defines everything. And there's something else you need to understand. Control is not just about how you handle people. It's about how you handle yourself when nobody is watching. Because the truth is, most battles are internal. It's the moment when your mind starts replaying what someone said. Over and over. Building anger. Creating imaginary arguments. Pulling you deeper into emotions long after the situation is gone. That's where most people lose. Not in public, but in private. Because even if you stayed calm on the outside, if your mind is still chaotic on the inside, you're not fully in control yet. The person nobody messes with? They don't carry situations longer than necessary. They don't sit there feeding negative thoughts, building tension, draining their own energy. They process it. They learn from it. And then they let it go. That's a different level of strength. Because now, you're not just controlling your reactions. You're controlling your thoughts. And when you control your thoughts, you control your life. Let's go deeper. There are people who will test you repeatedly. Not because they hate you, but because they're trying to figure you out. They want to see where your limit is. They want to find the version of you that reacts. The version they can manipulate. And if you keep giving them emotional reactions, you're teaching them exactly how to control you. Think about that. Every time you overreact, you're giving people a blueprint. You're showing them what gets under your skin. You're handing them your triggers. But when your responses are calm, controlled, and unpredictable, that blueprint disappears. Now they don't know what works. Now they don't know how to push you. Now they're the ones uncomfortable. And that's when the power shifts. Because control is not about dominating people. It's about not being dominated. And there's a big difference. You don't need to prove you're strong. You need to show that you're unshaken. Because strength that needs validation is weak. But strength that remains silent? That's undeniable. Now imagine walking into a room. You're not the loudest. You're not trying to impress anyone. You're just there. Calm. Aware. Grounded. People notice. Not because you're doing too much. But because you're not. You're not chasing attention. You're not reacting to everything. You're not trying to fit in. And that makes you stand out. Because in a world where everyone is trying to be seen, The one who is centered becomes unforgettable. That's the energy you want. That's the presence nobody messes with. But let's be honest for a moment. There will be times when staying calm feels impossible. When someone crosses a line. When something hits deep. When your patience is tested beyond what feels reasonable. In those moments, control becomes a choice. Not a feeling. You won't always feel calm. But you can choose to act calm. You won't always feel in control. But you can choose to respond with control. And the more you choose it, the more natural it becomes. Until one day, it's not something you try to do. It's just who you are. And that's when everything changes permanently. Because now, your default is discipline. Your default is awareness. Your default is strength. And once that becomes your identity, it's very hard for anyone to shake you. Let me give you something practical again. When emotions rise, slow your body down. Your breath is your anchor. Inhale slowly. Hold it. Exhale even slower. This isn't just advice, it's a reset. It brings you back to the present. It interrupts the emotional reaction. It gives you space to choose. And in that space, that's where your power lives. Another thing. Stop explaining yourself to people who are committed to misunderstanding you. That habit drains you. It keeps you stuck in conversations that go nowhere. Not every misunderstanding needs correction. Not every opinion needs a response. Sometimes silence is clarity. Sometimes distance is the answer. And sometimes, letting people think whatever they want is the strongest move you can make. Because your life is not a debate. Your peace is not something you negotiate. And once you understand that, you stop engaging in things that don't serve you. Now let's talk about respect. Real respect is not demanded. It's observed. People watch how you respond under pressure. They watch how you handle disrespect. They watch how you carry yourself when things don't go your way. And based on that, they decide how to treat you. So every reaction matters. Every response builds your reputation. You're always teaching people how to treat you. Not by what you say, but by what you allow. So if you allow chaos, you get chaos. If you allow disrespect, you get more of it. But if you carry yourself with calm, clarity, and boundaries, people adjust. Because they know you're not the one to test. And if they do test you, they quickly realize it was a mistake. Not because you reacted aggressively, but because you didn't react the way they expected. And that's what throws people off. That's what creates distance. That's what builds respect. Now I want you to think about your past. Not to regret anything, but to learn. Think about moments where you reacted emotionally. Moments where you lost control. Moments where you said things you wish you didn't. Those moments are not failures. They're lessons. They're showing you where you need growth. Where you need awareness. Where you need discipline. And if you learn from them, they become your strength. Because now you recognize the pattern. Now you see it coming. Now you can stop it before it happens again. That's evolution. That's growth. That's becoming someone nobody messes with. And here's the truth most people avoid. This path can feel lonely. Because when you stop reacting like everyone else, you start separating yourself. You won't engage in the same conversations. You won't tolerate the same behavior. You won't find interest in the same drama. And some people won't understand that. Some will even call you different. Distant. Cold. But that's okay. Because you're not here to be understood by everyone. You're here to become someone who is in control of their life. And that requires change. It requires discipline. It requires letting go of who you used to be. So don't be afraid of that shift. Embrace it. Because on the other side of that discomfort is peace, is clarity, is power. And once you experience that, you'll never want to go back. So from this moment forward, move differently. Speak less. Observe more. React slower. Think deeper. And choose your responses with intention. Because the way you respond is shaping your entire life. If you stayed with me this far, I want to hear from you. What's one situation where you know you need to start responding differently? Drop it in the comments. Let's grow together. And as you keep walking this path, something subtle begins to happen. You stop needing to win. Not every argument needs your voice. Not every challenge needs your energy. Not every disrespect needs your attention. That urge to prove yourself slowly fades. And in its place comes something far more powerful. Certainty. You become certain of who you are. And when a person is certain, they don't get pulled into every situation trying to defend that identity. They don't feel the need to explain themselves to people who already decided not to understand. They simply stand in it. Quietly. Firmly. Unshaken. And that's when your presence starts doing the talking for you. People feel it before you even speak. They sense that you're not easily moved. That you're not desperate for approval. That you're not reacting based on emotion. And without realizing it, they adjust their behavior around you. Because energy speaks louder than words ever could. Now listen carefully. There's a difference between being calm and being passive. Being calm is strength. Being passive is avoidance. One is control. The other is fear. The person nobody messes with doesn't avoid confrontation when it's necessary. They just don't rush into it emotionally. When something truly needs to be addressed, they do it directly. No drama. No unnecessary aggression. Just clarity. Just truth. Just boundaries. Because boundaries are a big part of this. If you don't have boundaries, no level of calmness will protect you. People will keep crossing the line, because you never showed them where it is. But when you respond with calm and clear boundaries, everything changes. You don't shout. You don't threaten. You don't over-explain. You simply make it known, this is acceptable, and this is not. And if someone ignores that, you don't argue. You adjust your distance. That's a level most people struggle to reach. Because it requires discipline. It requires letting go. It requires understanding that not everyone deserves access to you. And that's okay. You're not here to be available to everyone. You're here to protect your peace. And peace requires boundaries. Let's take it even deeper. There will be moments where silence is misunderstood. Where people think your calmness means weakness. Where they mistake your patience for permission. In those moments, your response matters even more. Because now, it's not about reacting. It's about reinforcing who you are. Sometimes that means speaking. Sometimes that means walking away. Sometimes that means cutting access completely. Not out of anger, but out of clarity. You don't punish people. You just stop giving them the opportunity to disturb your peace. And that's a powerful shift. Because now you're not controlled by what people do. You're guided by what you allow. And once you reach that level, you become very hard to deal with in the wrong way. Because manipulation stops working. Guilt stops working. Pressure stops working. Why? Because your decisions are no longer emotional. They're intentional. They're aligned. They're controlled. And that makes you solid. Now imagine this version of you. Someone tries to provoke you. You don't react immediately. You observe. You understand what's happening beneath the surface. And when you respond, it's so calm, so precise, so grounded, that it ends the situation without escalating it. That's power. Not loud power. Not aggressive power. Controlled power. And controlled power is rare. That's why it stands out. That's why it commands respect. That's why nobody messes with it. Because people don't fear noise. They respect control. Now let's talk about consistency. Because doing this once is not enough. Doing it twice is not enough. This has to become your standard. Your default. Your lifestyle. And consistency is where most people fall off. They stay calm sometimes, but lose control in other moments. They set boundaries, but don't enforce them. They understand the concept, but don't apply it daily. And that's where growth stops. But if you stay consistent, If you keep choosing control even when it's hard, even when it's uncomfortable, even when everything inside you wants to react, that's when you separate yourself. That's when people start to see you differently. That's when your reputation changes. And once that reputation is built, it protects you. People think twice before crossing you. They measure their words around you. They respect your space without you asking. All because of how you consistently respond. Now here's something that will take this to another level. Detach from outcomes. Don't respond just to get a reaction. Don't stay calm just to prove a point. Don't set boundaries just to control others. Do it for yourself. Because it aligns with who you are becoming. Because it protects your energy. Because it keeps you grounded. When you detach like that, you become even more powerful. Because now, nothing external controls your internal state. You're not depending on people to act a certain way for you to stay calm. You remain steady regardless. And that's the highest level of control. Because your peace is no longer conditional. It's constant. Now take a moment and really think about that. Imagine moving through life without being easily triggered. Without carrying unnecessary stress from other people. Without getting pulled into drama that doesn't serve you. That's freedom. That's real freedom. And it starts with how you respond. So from this point on, be intentional. When something happens, don't rush. Pause. Observe. Choose. Respond. Make that your rhythm. Make that your habit. Make that your identity. And over time, you won't even recognize the old version of yourself. The reactive version. The emotional version. The version that gave away power too easily. Because now, you're different. Now, you're in control. If this message is connecting with you, I want you to engage with it. Drop a comment and share one thing you're going to start doing differently after hearing this. Let's make this real. And the more you live like this, the more you start to notice something most people never realize. You're no longer reacting to life. You're directing it. Situations that used to drain you don't even reach you anymore. People who used to get under your skin lose access. Conversations that once pulled you into chaos now feel irrelevant. Not because the world changed, but because you did. You raised your standard. And when your standard rises, everything that doesn't match it starts to fall away. That's not loss. That's alignment. Now here's where it becomes even more powerful. You stop taking things personally. Someone disrespects you? You see it for what it is, a reflection of them, not you. Someone tries to provoke you. You recognize the pattern, not the emotion. Someone misunderstands you? You don't rush to correct it. You understand that not everyone is meant to understand you. That shift alone will save you from so much unnecessary stress. Because taking everything personally is exhausting. It keeps you in a constant state of reaction. But when you detach, when you observe instead of absorb, you stay in control. And control creates clarity. Now let's talk about pressure. Because real life will test you. Not once. Not twice. But repeatedly. There will be moments where everything around you feels intense. Where people expect you to break. Where the situation feels unfair. Where emotions try to rise all at once. That's when this mindset matters the most. Because anyone can stay calm when things are easy. But the person nobody messes with? They stay composed when it's difficult. They don't fold under pressure. They don't let chaos dictate their behavior. They slow down even more. They become even more intentional. They respond with even greater control. And that's what separates them. That's what makes people step back. That's what builds unshakable respect. Because consistency under pressure is rare. And rare things are valued. Now understand this. You don't need to intimidate people to be respected. You don't need to be aggressive to be taken seriously. You don't need to prove your strength through confrontation. Your control will do that for you. Your presence will do that for you. Your consistency will do that for you. And over time, people will recognize it without you saying a word. But here's the part most people overlook. This level of control requires responsibility. You can't blame others for your reactions anymore. You can't say, "They made me angry." You can't say, "They forced me to respond like that." Because now you understand. Your response is your choice. Always. No matter what happens. That level of ownership is uncomfortable at first. But it's also freeing. Because if you are responsible for your reactions, then you are also in control of them. And if you're in control of them, then nobody else has power over you. That's the goal. Not to control others, but to master yourself. Because once you master yourself, the outside world loses its ability to shake you. Now picture this clearly. You're in a situation where tension is high. Voices are raised. Emotions are everywhere. And then there's you. Calm. Steady. Focused. You don't match the chaos. You neutralize it. And that energy, it spreads. Because calm is contagious. Control is contagious. And when you bring that into a situation, it changes the entire dynamic. Sometimes without a single word. That's influence. Real influence. Not forced. Not loud. But undeniable. And the more you embody it, the more natural it becomes. Until one day, it's not something you practice anymore. It's just who you are. And at that point, you don't need to remind people how to treat you. They already know. Because you've shown them. Through your actions. Through your responses. Through your consistency. And anyone who doesn't respect that doesn't stay in your life for long. Not because you push them away aggressively, but because your standards no longer allow it. That's growth. That's evolution. That's becoming someone who cannot be easily shaken, manipulated, or disrespected. And here's the final truth you need to carry with you. This isn't about becoming cold. It's about becoming clear. Clear in your thoughts. Clear in your boundaries. Clear in your responses. Because clarity removes confusion. And when there's no confusion, there's no room for people to test you. So walk with that clarity. Move with that control. Speak with that intention. And protect your peace like it's your most valuable asset. Because it is. Now before you leave, I want you to lock this in. Take one lesson from everything you've heard. And actually apply it today. Not tomorrow. Not later. Today. Because information without action changes nothing. But action, even small action, changes everything. And if you've made it this far, I want to hear from you. What's the biggest shift you're taking from this? Deeper unlocks within you. You stop chasing respect. And you start embodying it. There's no performance anymore. No pretending. No trying to act a certain way just to be perceived differently. It becomes natural. Effortless. Because now your behavior is aligned with your identity. You're not reacting with control. You are control. And that's a completely different energy. People can feel when something is forced. They can feel when someone is trying too hard to appear calm, trying too hard to look strong, trying too hard to gain respect. But when it's real, it doesn't need effort. It doesn't need validation. It just exists. And that existence alone commands attention. Now listen closely, because this is where most people get it wrong. They think becoming unbothered means becoming emotionless. That's not it. You still feel. You still experience frustration, disappointment, even anger. But the difference is, those emotions don't control your actions anymore. You experience them without becoming them. You acknowledge them without letting them take over. That's mastery. Because emotions are not the enemy. Lack of control is. So instead of suppressing how you feel, you learn how to guide it. You learn how to channel it. You learn how to sit with it without reacting impulsively. And that ability right there. That's what separates you from the majority. Because most people are ruled by how they feel in the moment. But you act based on who you've decided to become. That's power. Now let's talk about discipline on a deeper level. Because everything you've heard so far, it all comes back to discipline. Discipline in your thoughts. Discipline in your words. Discipline in your actions. And most importantly, discipline in your reactions. Without discipline, all of this falls apart. You might stay calm once, maybe twice, but eventually you'll fall back into old patterns, old habits, old reactions. That's why this has to be practiced daily. Not just when things go wrong, but even when things are going right. Pay attention to how you speak. Pay attention to how you respond to small inconveniences. Pay attention to how quickly you react when something doesn't go your way. Because those small moments, they build your default behavior. And your default behavior is what shows up under pressure. So if you want to become someone nobody messes with, you have to train yourself in the small moments. The unnoticed moments. The everyday situations. That's where the real work happens. Now here's something that will take this even further. Learn to be comfortable with being misunderstood. Because it will happen. When you stop reacting the way people expect. When you stop engaging in drama. When you stop explaining yourself endlessly. Some people won't get it. They'll question you. They'll label you. They'll try to figure you out. And sometimes, they'll get it wrong. Let them. Not everyone needs to understand your growth. Not everyone is meant to come with you on this journey. And the moment you accept that, you free yourself from the need to constantly explain who you are. Because you know. And that's enough. Now imagine living like this every single day. No unnecessary stress from other people's actions. No emotional reactions draining your energy. No constant need to prove yourself. Just clarity. Just control. Just peace. That's not a fantasy. That's a result. A result of choosing discipline over impulse. A result of choosing awareness over reaction. A result of choosing growth over comfort. And yes, it takes time. You won't master this overnight. There will be moments where you slip. Moments where you react. Moments where you wish you handled things differently. That's part of the process. Don't let it discourage you. Learn from it. Adjust. Move forward. Because progress is what matters. Not perfection. Every step you take in this direction brings you closer to that version of yourself. The version that is calm under pressure. The version that is clear in chaos. The version that cannot be easily shaken. And once you become that person, life changes. Your relationships change. Your environment changes. Your opportunities change. Because you're no longer operating at the same level. You've elevated. And with elevation comes separation. You won't resonate with everything you used to. You won't tolerate what you once did. You won't engage the way you once did. And that's a good thing. That's growth doing its job. So don't fight it. Embrace it. Because you're not losing anything valuable. You're making space for something better. Now as we bring this together, I want you to remember this one thing above everything else. Your response is your responsibility. No matter the situation. No matter the person. No matter the pressure. You choose how you respond. And in that choice, you define who you are. So choose wisely. Choose control. Choose clarity. Choose growth. Because the version of you that does that consistently is a version nobody takes lightly. A version nobody manipulates. A version nobody disrespects. A version nobody messes with. If you've made it all the way here, I want you to take a moment and engage. Drop a comment and tell me one thing you're committing to change starting today. Make it real. And if this message has shifted your perspective even a little, don't keep it to yourself. Share it. Let someone else hear this who needs it. And make sure you subscribe to the channel so you stay connected to content that pushes you to grow, think deeper, and move differently. Because this is bigger than motivation. This is about transformation. And now, you're stepping into it.